Why was the inclusion of Punch a Loaf on the Deadly CD not King Scratchy approved?
He didn't want to do it. He thought that we had moved on so far from just the songwriting and the recording quality or whatever from Pinch a Loaf. He kind of just wanted to forget.
Quiet over there, we're doing an interview.
Hey, quiet over there, I'm doing an interview.
You got poo in my bell.
And that was, I think we had quit by then already, because that album came out just on vinyl. And then Circusized Peanuts came out on vinyl and CD, because, you know, in the late 80s, you didn't just get to have a CD. You had to get your pants out of here. You didn't just get to have a CD, especially on an independent label. They're like, well, we'll see how Deadly Kung Fu Action does as vinyl. And so Circusized Peanuts came out, and they put that out on vinyl and CD. And so he's like, okay, you know, Tom Flynn, Boner Records, they're like, I think we're ready, we'll put Deadly Kung Fu Action. Because now, by that time, in the early 90s, 92, whatever, but we had split up, and I think Dan's like, you know, King Scratchy, he's like, I don't want people to do that. We're like, come on, man, we gotta, for one, we're putting out a CD of an album that already been out, so it's got to have some kind of value added. And I mean, that Pinch a Loaf was only 500 copies, so we had sold out of it years before. So I felt like it's part of the history. I think people should hear it. It's ludicrous, right? Oh, you have it on vinyl? Yeah, that's awesome. You should have just brought the cover, just not the record, because then you don't have to worry about the record. But yeah, so and I feel like, you know, and we put like ludicrous stuff in between songs. And it's like it's fun. Yeah, it's hilarious. So, you know, it's just kind of funny.
What caused the breakup?
The story's kind of different. We've been talking about it this week now, or last week now. We've all been hanging around together, but it's not really totally clear. But we did deem that there was a meeting where we talked about what's our future, because we're just keep going up and up, and you know, we're gonna look for a major label, because that was the thing to do at that time and stuff. But my recollection is that two of the guys didn't want to tour anymore. They're like, you know, we'll still write songs, we'll still, you know, be a band, but we just don't want to tour. And then the rest of us were like, well, if we're not going to tour, like that's what bands do, right? And especially if you get on a major label, you would tour. They give you this tour support, they get you on with bigger bands, and that's how you get really big, you know? So we're like, if we're not going to tour, then we're not really a band. We're not going to be like a studio band, you know? Playing live is the fun part. So I think we just kind of decided, well, let's do one last big tour. Let's have one last big show in Denver and call it quits while we're totally, you know, quit while you're ahead, you know, which proved to be great, because then it was like the last thing we did was great. Tons of people never got to see it because we quit suddenly, and we've been selling records ever since. And we get a check twice a year from the record label. And people are still hearing about it, buying it, whatever. I mean, maybe their albums get stolen and they buy it again or whatever. And it's on iTunes. We get more royalties now from iTunes than we do from CD sales. So it's like somehow whatever we did kept it going. Not in a huge way, right? We didn't get bigger between then and then, but on the other hand, I think it just kept going. So, you know, and then now we're playing, and this will be the biggest between these two shows. I mean, like our very last show, we sold out the Gothic, and the capacity was slightly different. But now we're doing like, you know, two shows. Maybe if they both sell out, then that's double what our biggest show was. So, you know, a lot of these people have never seen us, you know, which is great. So for me, this is huge, you know, the fact that people get to see us. Plus with the internet and stuff now, we can let everyone know. Tons of people coming from out of state. Like I'm sending out tickets and stuff. It's like people come, you know, New York, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, California, Washington. You know, crazy. It's awesome.
Well, speaking of like the touring and stuff, how much support did Boner Records give you guys for all that, or if any?
No tour support. They gave us an advance to record the albums, which was pretty small, and you know, it's kind of funny because, you know, if you get a huge advance and they put you in some, you know, $1 million studio and you spend $250,000, then they have to sell that many albums before your recording's paid off, before you even get any money. So like a huge advance really just means the bigger advance for recording means that the recording guy's got a bunch of money and the band's never going to make any money, right? But so we recorded for pretty cheap, you know. That's pretty much it. We did all our own tour support, all our own shirts and merchandise and all that kind of stuff.
So how has being in this band affected your later life? After 92.
I don't know. I've done other musical projects. I don't know if it's helped those or not. I mean, totally different kinds of things. So I don't think it's affected it really that much. It's probably affecting it more now because now all these people I've met in the last 15 years who don't even know I was in this band, you know, or even that this band existed. But now I'm on the cover of the newspaper, you know. It's like, so it's kind of interesting, you know. Now everyone knows the jig is up.
What's your opinion on the industry standard of promoting unoriginal bands as opposed to bands such as like Warlock Pinchers that do things like use samples and just abstract crazy stuff?
I think the music industry is an industry, right? So you never want to look to the industry for what's cool, right? The industry doesn't know what's cool. They're trying to make money. So same with, you know, promoters, labels. They want something that's marketable to make money. So to me, it's like the industry is not the place to go. It's like, to me, it's still word of mouth. I mean, the internet too. Like, you can go listen to anything. Music is basically free now, right? So you can listen to, you know, anything you want and hear a sample of it. You don't even have to go see it or go buy it. So you can find it on your own, really. I think word of mouth has got to be word of mouth. Word of the electronic mouth. It's huge, right? I mean, if we had that back then, who knows what would happen, right? Because I mean, so I'm doing stuff. We go to shows, we meet 5 people, and I get their addresses, you know. And I used to send out mail, you know, like, hey, we're coming back on tour. Tell your friends. You know, I'd send out letters. We sent out postcards when we were playing shows to get people to come, you know. And like, now it's just email, Facebook, whatever. So it's like so much easier to cover more ground for sure.
Due to the success of last night's show and probably tonight's, is there any plans for any future Pinchers events?
We haven't really even talked about it. You know, we've had a couple offers just to do future shows or whatever, but I'm not going to say it won't happen. I don't think we're going to go on tour. One of the stipulations from Mark, where he was like, okay, we should do these shows, but we're not going to like go on tour or anything, right? Because it's like, I mean, we all have lives, jobs, whatever, but we would fly out for some show if someone would pay us $1 billion, you know? Yeah, about half $1 billion. And that's the kind of thing people are like, I'll set you up a show in Vegas, I'll set you up in Seattle or whatever, but it's the kind of thing like, it would have to be a guarantee, you know? We'd probably fly out. I mean, it would be ludicrously expensive for us to come out and do a show, but it could happen, so, you know.